All right, so today we are going to talk about the ion shield, and we are going to see about how it is helping with self-precaution and protection, and also how it supports the body through negative ion physiology. All right, so how it's helping in our body. So without wasting time, we shall start. Now, why the importance now? What do you call that? Why suddenly people are going back to the negative ions? What is making them look for things where it can protect them, right? Not just negative ions. There are so many things they are looking for. So negative ions are one of them. Now, since we are talking about the ion shield, and the ion shield is using negative ions, so why the ion shield? Now, let's go back to the time when we had COVID-19, the COVID-19 virus. So that's when the earth came to almost a stop, all right? For about 1 year, people were indoors, they were not coming out because for the fear of the virus, all right? And then everything started slowing down, and only after that, things started moving again, okay? So then lots of people suffered from the virus, many even died. And then presently, people are suffering from the long term effects of COVID 19. Right? Many are still complaining of breathing problems, and then it's affecting other parts of the body as well. All right? So now, if you look, it damages and brings damage not only to the lungs, but even to the heart, blood vessels, kidneys, the intestines, the brain, right? So people have various complications from the long COVID. Okay, so now you can see the effects. There are so many effects, and so many people are suffering even until today. Okay, so one of them is body pain, joints pain or headache, high blood sugar, fever, and the list goes on. All right. So these are all the symptoms of the long COVID, besides, of course, the natural diseases. Okay. Now people have slowly gone on to a new normal where they have learned to live with the COVID-19, learned to overcome, and then now they understand why they need the protection. All right. So it has never stopped one after another, but people have learned to live with it. So there was a time when people used to use the mask. The mask was a must. All right. And now slowly people are removing them. And what next after this? Okay, we have all kinds of viruses. Started with the COVID-19, then the beta version, delta version, and then the Omicron, the influenza A. And if you ask now, in Malaysia, what tuberculosis is slowly on the rise, and I mean the government is trying to quickly nip it in the bud. So what next? All right, so we need some kind of protection. Okay, so now what happens is the precautions which have been present precautions are keeping a personal distance, but then I think people have forgotten that as well now. You see lots of people going to various functions, and they are close together, the crowd, and many of them are not wearing the masks. Okay, of course, there are some who are still using them. And then face shields, but not as much as masks. And what other precautions can we take to protect ourselves and our family? All right. So here comes how do you want to live in the new norm where you know that if you're not careful, you're going to get some form of virus. Let's listen to this professor, Dr. John Oxford, on what he has to say regarding the negative ions.
Directing the experiment was the international authority in virus research, Dr. John Oxford.
And we're using a more powerful ionizer. This emits 50,000 ions per centimeter cubed.
The experiment is carried out using a 1 meter cubed box. Virus solution is sprayed from the top surface of the box. Within the box, an ion generator is producing plasma cluster ions. When two ions stick to the surface of a virus, they transform into a highly oxidizing OH radical and draw out the hydrogen from the protein of the spike-shaped virus. Which hydrogen has been taken is degraded and the OH radical returns to water. This sequence is performed in an instant, completely removing the virus.
This sort of technology, I think, will give us some reassurance that we'd have a piece of kit, as it were, that could be used not only against viruses we know about, but viruses that could appear in the future.
So as we see, at least we have some hope now that these negative ions are going to work against the present viruses and future viruses. We have some kind of protection, all right? So as he has said, a minimum of 50,000 parts per million is enough for health reasons, but this device, the IonShield, is providing 60 million parts per million, which is way more than what we need, all right? The IonShield is providing 60 million. All right, now this is how the IonShield is. Now, of course, the colors vary. You have many colors now, white, purple, and all kinds of colors, pink. All right, now basically, as you can see here, this pendant, now this is where the light is. Now, if it is the battery, the power supply is enough, then you see a white light. Now, if it is going to finish, that means it's very low, then you see a red light blinking. Now, on top here is the emitter, where it emits the negative ions at 60 million parts per million. What do you call it? Per cubic meter, sorry, yeah? And at the bottom here is the switch, all right? So it's a long press, it switches on, another long press, it switches off. Now this chain, if you are using it, try not to remove it and replace with some other chain, because what this chain does is removes the static electricity, all right? So it's not too much actually, but then they have taken the precaution to remove it, okay, through this chain, so you don't have to worry. All right, so let's look a little bit further. Now, first of all, it provides cleaner air. That means the air you breathe, it becomes much cleaner and gives better protection from contaminants and particulate matter. All right, so this is the primary aim of this device. Okay, so what basically it is first of all, it has a stylish design. When you're wearing it, many people want to know what it is, and also some of them are worried. I've come across policemen who are looking at you and they're asking, what is that you're wearing? Is it a camera? And I tell them, yes, actually you're on my camera now. And usually if I'm stopped at roadblocks, I get an easy pass through, right? So they don't want to stop me. So normally it's also, people want to know, and then you're telling them about this technology. All right, it has got magnetic charging at the back. You charge for about an hour and you're using for about 1 day. And then it gives you 60 million negative oxygen ions each spurt, all right? And almost on the whole day, right? One time we charge 1 hour, you charge for an hour, it is going to be working for nearly a day. So which means that you're going out in the morning till night when you come back, okay? And the quality is made of good quality material. It's coming from a reputable manufacturer, and they are also, one of the top in the world. All right, so basically there are no static charges because the chain takes care of that, okay? And it's a special chain made for this purpose. Now, it is small and light. It has a long battery life. It provides healthy negative oxygen ions anytime, anywhere. Now, if you have kids, it's good for the kids because if they are going to school, they're going to be meeting lots of people. They're going to be in a crowd. They're going to be in the bus or transport where there are going to be other kids. And you'll find that it's going along with them wherever they go. And they can normally come back safer than the rest. Right? It regulates the body's ion balance. It neutralizes free radicals. And with some continuous mild aerobic exercise, And with this negative ion, you will find your health is much better, and it improves the body's functional system, purifies second-hand smoke. Imagine you're sitting, you're just settling down for your food, and suddenly you're feeling some smoke just coming over to your side, and there's no way or as to what you can do. Of course, nowadays restaurants do not permit that, but there are also places outside where, although they are away from you, that smoke is still coming to you, and this device actually clears that for you. All right. Okay. It's also removing formaldehyde and removes bad odor, and it's also like an antibacterial disinfection, and also for dust. Right. Okay. So now there are many test results. So these test results conducted to prove, to say, to confirm that you're getting 60 million negative ions each time. Okay, parts per cubic centimeter. All right, and then okay, per cubic centimeter concentration. Okay, measured 3 centimeters from the negative ion emitter. So we saw the emitter just now. It was measured 3 centimeters from there. Now, what happens is many emitters, what they do is, as it goes along further from the emitter, it becomes lesser and lesser. Now, they have tested until even about 50 cm, 60 cm is still the same amount. All right. So, which is more than sufficient for us. And then the effective distance is at 30 to 50 centimeters. Of course, it depends also on the wind conditions, meaning if you're going out of the house, outdoors, if there's a strong wind, then basically it might not be able to go directly up because the wind is blowing. Then again, if the wind is blowing, then you're quite safe because the viruses are not going to be there, right? So the effective distance is 30 to 50 centimeters, and it's still strong up to that distance, which is more than enough to reach up to your nose and just a little beyond. All right? It blows up towards the nose area. And a full charge lasts almost for the whole day, and it uses electromagnetic pulse technology. As we saw just now, the metal chain disperses the static buildup, and it's definitely light. After you wear them, you are basically going to forget that there's something there on your neck. All right? And it's supposed to last up to 10 years without giving you a problem. Okay? And it's definitely portable. You just wear it on your neck and you just keep going wherever you wish to go. Okay? And definitely, please share with your loved ones, especially those who are more elderly and those who are going to functions into a crowd, and you have children who have to go into the crowd. Share with them, right? Buy for them as well. And also there are tests done where you what do you call it, the coronavirus test report, where it kills up to 99.99%, okay, of the virus. And then let's look at how it helps us. It's continuous and passive negative ion emission, creating an energizing microenvironment around you. All right, as it blows up just around you, around your face, okay, it creates a microenvironment where you are breathing clean air. It helps you to breathe clean air. Okay, and as it also goes into the system, that means you're breathing into your body. It's also helping you when you inhale them. When it reaches the lungs, other things happen as well, which we shall look into later. All right, it's helping with especially with cellular oxygenation. Okay, so we shall see that later. Okay, now these are some of the testimonials, what people have said after using them. Right, first they've said that it's more relaxed compared to before, and then it's easier to fall asleep, and it improves bladder condition and lesser toilet frequency, and then more calmness. Skin condition is also improving, and they get less irritated. Of course, when you're calmer, you don't get irritated as easily, right? So there are many things which people have said. Now, these are the reported health benefits of negative ions. First of all, they neutralize the free radicals. All right. Now, many people take loads of antioxidants to neutralize the free radicals. Okay. So now here you will have something which is also neutralizing those free radicals. And they revitalize and enhance cell metabolism, and they enhance immune function. All right. So they create an environment where the immune function becomes even better. And they purify the blood, and they help with the pH balancing as well. And they help in overcome insomnia. People have reported they're sleeping better. And they balance the autonomic nervous system. Okay. And they help in promoting deep sleep and healthy digestion as well. Okay. And some of the important benefits of negative ions: they clear the air of airborne allergens such as pollen, mold spores, bacteria and viruses, dust, pet allergy, and even cigarette smoke. All right. So, what happens is as it comes out, for example, the pollen comes into contact with these negative ions. So they transfer one negative ion to them, and it becomes heavier. As such, they fall, they settle down, all right? And what you get is clean air. So people who have used it in rooms have reported that after using them, they find that that particular room is a little bit more dusty compared to the rest. So earlier they were wondering why was that their room was getting a little bit more dusty, until they realized that these negative ions were working for them, and whatever was coming in was settling down as dust. All right. Okay, and the negative ions perform this function by attaching themselves to positively charged particles in large numbers and negatively charging those particles. Right? As a result, these viruses, bacteria, pollen spores become too heavy to remain airborne, and are thus prevented from entering your breathing passage, where they can make you fall sick. Right? So that's why you find that it's a bit dusty in the areas where you've used them. In other words, negative ions form a protective circle around you. So you have a micro environment just around you. Okay. And now this is how it is. Now, as you can see, it's like a bubble. It's going up. And then you're also at the same time, you're inhaling. All right. So this is how it goes in. Okay. So if you look, now it's going into your mouth, it's going into your nose, it's also going up. Even your eyes are getting them, and you're inhaling now fresh air with these negative ions as well. Okay, they're going into your lungs. All right. Now let's look at one demonstration which was done using the IonShield as to how it works to suppress smoke. All right. As you can see, within seconds, the smoke is gone. It suppresses the smoke. Now, how does that do it? It gives off these negative ions in large numbers, and quickly the smoke becomes too heavy and it settles down. All right? So that's how it works. So imagine if you're sitting somewhere and somebody is smoking and you just cannot chase them away for some reason, and you have this device, you are saved. All right? Okay. All right. Now let's look at another, small video as what this person has got to say.
There are 3 facts you need to know about negative ions. Another Nerd Minute. Fact 1. The Earth is negatively charged thanks to negative ions. It's no coincidence that we need a negative charge at the cellular level to promote hydration and better functioning mitochondria, and to be generally more healthy. Fact 2, all electrolytes have either a positive or a negative charge. Electrolytes with a negative charge, thanks to negative ions, are more difficult to come by. However, their charge is essential to your health. Fact 3, negative ions can be found in specific locations, such as the beach, in a forest, or near a waterfall. A great way to get them is to remove your shoes and physically connect to the ground. Negative ions will flow through your feet and into your body.
As you can see, the negative ions are abundant. Nature has given lots of negative ions. Unfortunately, we do not realize that it is there. We don't make use of it. How many of you have actually gone to a waterfall recently, or even to the beach, or even into the jungle? So we are in an urban jungle, right? So where there is no negative ions. Not many city councils realize the importance of a green lung in the cities, where people can actually go and what do you call it, change those electric ions. Now the other thing is people no more walking barefoot on the ground, right? They don't even touch the trees. So where you have lots of these negative ions, the earth provides you lots of negative ions. And what we are doing is we are constantly wearing a minimum slippers, if not shoes, and we do not get that effect. So here, that's where these ion shields come in, right, to help you. Okay.
There are three facts you need to know about negative ions. Another Nerd Minute. Fact one, the Earth is...
All right, as we see, the three things which you need to know. So if you have the opportunity, please go to the waterfall or the beach or the jungle, hiking once in a while. Take your kids, take your family, and you'll see lots of health benefits for you. At the very least, at least when you have a strong thunderstorm, which has just been over, it stopped raining, stand outside, feel the negative ions, the freshness, these are the negative ions, right? Okay, so when you use the ion shield, what happens? They're also known as anions. They interact with the human body primarily through inhalation. We have the nose and mouth entering the respiratory system and eventually reaching the bloodstream. So it goes a long way until it reaches the bloodstream. And along the way, lots of things are happening. All right? Okay. Now, first, the inhalation and entry path. When you breathe in air rich in negative ions, they take the following paths. First, the gateway is they go through the nose and mouth during normal respiration. All right? Then, in the nose, the negative ions can stimulate the formation of epithelial cells in the nasal mucosa. And they travel through the trachea and into the lungs. And in the bronchus, they have been shown to accelerate the movement of mucosal cilia, which are hair-like structures that clear mucus and pollutants. So they're helping along the way. All along the way, they're doing something to help the body. All right? And also they're helping with alveolar absorption. They reach the alveoli, the air sacs in your lungs, right? Where they facilitate the penetration of oxygen into the lungs. And studies indicate that 30 minutes of high dose inhalation can increase oxygen absorption by up to 20%. You add that with good hydration, you're drinking enough water, so the air sacs are also now well hydrated and they're going to bring in lots of oxygen. All right, so this is how it's working. Okay, so all these negative ions, they are forming and they're going into the nasal cavity and into your pharynx and then right into your lungs. All right. So now the absorption, it helps with the absorption of oxygen and then it goes on to the bloodstream. All right. So that's how it works. Now let's look at some other parts, how they work. Now, first of all, as we have seen, this is your iTerra Ion Shield pendant. So besides giving you fresh air, removing all the pollutants and virus and bacteria, now it's going right into your lungs and into your bloodstream. All right. So the next you're seeing here is also helping with the nervous system modulation, especially the vagus nerve stimulation. All right. So it's helping there and it's helping you to relax and have an autonomic balance. Now, what happens is many people, they are always in the fight or flight situation. So the body is always prepared, is preparing itself for something to happen. So what's happening is you're producing lots of cortisols, right? A hormone which you really do not want to have much of. So when you are using this, it helps the body to relax. It has this, what do you call it, parasympathetic activation. So the body goes into a rest and relax mode, and the production of cortisol hormones, is reduced or removed. So now you find that your body is now in a position to heal itself, right? Also, it has cellular and air quality effects. It has enhanced oxygen delivery. It's a balanced cell function. All right. So you have cleaner breathing, and what you call it, supports the energy, breathing, and air quality. Okay, by using this device. Okay, it supports wellness through the negative ions. All right. Next, we shall see a little bit more of the brain chemistry. All right. So the negative ions also find their way into the brain, and they're also giving you mood balance where you're much calmer. Okay, they modulate the serotonin hormones. Okay, so the anxiety comes down. And then it's also helping at the cellular energy. It's also helping with anti-fatigue effects, right? Where it's also helping with the mitochondria. Okay, so what is happening is they help to optimize the cellular oxygen utilization. Now, what does that mean? It means that now the mitochondria can increase its production. So, what does it produce? It produces ATP, energy for you. All right. So the increase in energy is reflected in how you perform. So now you have more energy to move around, to walk, and even until the night, you find that you're full of energy. All right. So they create a calm, well oxygenated internal environment. Okay. So it regulates what's going on inside. It's also regulating your immune system. When your immune system is disturbed, too overstimulated, then sometimes it doesn't identify which is good and bad, and then you come up with problems like autoimmune diseases. All right, now here it creates a calm, well oxygenated internal environment. So now your immune system doesn't go into overdrive, and it's now protecting you. All right. So the next thing is stress response modulation and balance is also helping you with your to regulate your stress. All right. So and stress response as well. Okay. So this is what's happening when you have these negative ions inside of you. So it's also helping with the bloodstream and biochemical effects. Once negative ions are inhaled through the nose and mouth, they cross the thin membranes of the alveoli, right in the lungs, and enter the pulmonary capillaries. The negative ions enter the bloodstream and trigger several systemic changes, and the effects on the blood, some of them they include serotonin regulation. All right. So it gives you what do you call it? It alleviates stress, reduces symptoms of seasonal depression, and boosts alertness. So it is helping to balance this mood chemical, not allowing it to go into overdrive. Right? It's also the blood chemistry. They may influence blood composition by adjusting the content of the blood oxygen and enhancing its utilization for metabolic processes. Right? Some studies suggest they improve the erythrocyte deformability, helping red blood cells move more easily through vessels and separate more effectively to transport oxygen. Basically, what they're trying to say is there is clumping, right? Especially when it's viscous, it's not what do you call it? Is having problem getting the oxygen. So these negative ions are also helping them to separate and move effectively to transport the oxygen. All right. It also has got this anti-inflammatory response. At a cellular level, negative ions may suppress the generation of reactive oxygen species, ROS. They can become toxic and downregulate pro-inflammatory cytokines, and providing an antioxidant effect, right? So they're also helping in that aspect, okay? Helping you with your free radicals. Now it also enhances your oxygen absorption. How does that? How does it do that? By releasing their electric charge into the blood. Negative ions can improve the body's ability to absorb and utilize oxygen, effectively charging the blood and promoting healthier metabolic reactions. Now, as we all know, our body is an electrical body. All our cells are small electrical batteries. So only if the charge is working at the correct level and everything functions well. So what these negative ions are doing is they release that electric charge, and it's as good as you are charging your car battery, making them being able to be optimized in their functions. All right. Now, it's also alkalizing the blood. Some research suggests that negative ions facilitate the release of calcium into the bloodstream, which helps maintain a slightly alkaline pH. An alkaline environment is more efficient for cellular function compared to an acidic one, which can be oxygen depleted. Now, this is especially so for people who have a problem, cancer, for example, and they need that alkaline environment. So this will also help those people to slowly come back. It also has an anti-inflammatory effect. Negative ions help neutralize free radicals in the blood. We have seen this before, right? Okay, and it also has an impact on the body systems. The respiratory system, how does it work in the respiratory system? By attaching to a positively charged airborne pollutant, for example, dust, pollen, and bacteria, these negative ions cause these particles to clump together and settle down. This prevents them from entering your breathing passage, potentially reducing irritation for asthma and allergy sufferers. Now, let's take it a little bit further. Imagine you're using the conventional mask. What happens to the mask? That mask does not affect those viruses. It's only blocking those viruses, right? So probably they're all attached to your mask. And over time, some may even find their way inside, all right? And here what's happening is they settle down. They are no more there, all right? So it's one step better than the conventional mask. Now, the nervous system, the negative ions can inhibit sympathetic nerve activity, the fight or flight response, while activating the parasympathetic nerve, promoting relaxation and better sleep quality. So people are also reporting they're sleeping better, and makes people calmer, and they slowly neutralize from the fight or flight response. As I mentioned earlier, when you're in that mode, the cortisols are coming out in abundance and it's affecting your body, right? So in metabolism, they are linked to increased metabolism of carbohydrates and fats and the promotion of energy production within cells, as we saw as what happens in the mitochondria just now, all right? So as a summary of the key benefits, first of all, respiratory is clearing pollutants, improves cilia movement and oxygen uptake. In the nervous system, it is balancing serotonin, enhances mood, focus, and sleep. And in the circulatory system, it's optimizing the heart rate and may normalize blood pressure and blood flow. All right. And the immune system, what it does is it simulates the white blood cells. So now the immune system is able to fight the pathogens and infections better. All right. So for them to even identify better. There are some precautions when you use this device, the IonShield pendant, as to it's not going to affect you in any way. Definitely not. It's more about the device itself. If it gets wet in the rain, there's an auto cutoff to protect the ionizer pendant, right? There's an auto system. and then later you can switch it on. But when it's dry, you can switch it on again, as we saw just now. And then one important point is make sure it does not fall into the water. If it falls, the device is completely gone. Once water gets in, then you're in trouble. All right? So you won't be able to use it again. The sensitive system inside will be affected and it may not work again. All right? So the important thing is first, don't let it fall into the water, and please remember to remove it when you go swimming. Right? So it's not like some bracelets we are wearing where you can swim with that, but here you have to remove it. Okay? Right. So let's look at another small video. So the good part is, many of the members, what they do is, as they do their business and they help their friends, they get lots of loyalty redemption points. So use those loyalty redemption points to get a few for probably your spouse, your children, your loved ones, your parents. All right. So let them all enjoy the benefits of this device. Okay. Now, today's tips, all right? We have got a little bit of today's tips. Now, since it's the month of Ramadan, for the Muslims, it's an important month, right? Especially preparing for Eid. So we shall talk about a 24-hour fast. Now, they fast about 12 hours from in the morning before sunrise, and they stop after sunset, right? That's about 12 hours or so. But here, I'm looking at a 24-hour fast for people who want to address certain problems, right? And hopefully these tips are going to help you. Now, first of all, let's look at the initial stage from 0 to 3 hours when you start fasting. Now, what happens is you're still in the digestive phase where the blood glucose rises and insulin directs nutrients into cells for immediate use or storage. This is what's happening in the first 0 to 3 hours. All right. Now, if you have a problem, if you are diabetic, you have a hyperinsulinism, then you might have a problem with this. Okay. So otherwise, this is what's going to happen. All right. The next is 3 to 6 hours is the absorption phase where glucose levels return to normal. All right. So they are high because initially you had food, the food is converted into glucose, and then it's being used by the body, and then the insulin levels out, and then the liver begins storing glycogen. All right. So any excess glycogen is now being stored by the liver. So that is why, as you grow older, you're less active, you should be cutting down on your carbohydrates, right? Because the excess is going to be kept. All right, the next thing is you're looking at 6 to 9 hours. What's happening is this is the transition phase where digestion is finished and insulin reaches fasting level. All right, and the body shifts to burning fat. So what the body does is when there is carbohydrate in the body, it uses carbohydrate primarily. That is the main, fuel for the body. But once that carbohydrate is finished, it still needs to use the energy. So it shifts to burning fat, right? And that happens if you have continued your fast into 6 to 9 hours. Now, when you go into the 9 to 12 hours, this is an early fasting phase where liver glycogen depletes significantly, and the fat breakdown, lipolysis, increases and growth hormone rises. You also have an additional benefit where the growth hormone also rises. Right? Now, this fat breakdown, lipolysis, now normally, if you're exercising, I'm sure you have heard the doctor tell you you need to exercise at least 30 minutes, at least 3 to 4 times in a week. Now, what he's basically telling you is to exercise in the aerobic zone because the aerobic zone burns fat. But now, here, just by fasting, when you come into the 9 to 12 hours zone, it starts increasing the amount of fat being burnt. All right. For those of you who want to lose some weight, especially the fat, this is a good area to venture into. All right. So at 12 to 15 hours, what's happening is it is a fat burning phase. So glycogen becomes depleted. There's no more carbohydrate, glycogen there. And fat becomes the primary fuel source. So what's happening is now only fat is being burnt and the ketone production begins. All right? This is at the 12 to 15 hours. And then when you go into the 15 to 18 hours, it's a ketogenic phase. Probably you've heard keto diet. All right. So this is where you want to be. Okay. So this is the ketogenic phase where your fat is being burnt. All right. So the ketones rise. Okay. They're chemical compounds produced in the body, which fuels your body. So insulin falls, autophagy kicks in, and the body starts to recycle damaged proteins and worn out mitochondria. So what's happening at this period of time is the body is cleaning you inside out. So autophagy is where it is clearing. It is eating into the cells or clearing those cells which are no more wanted by the body. That means they are not able to function. They don't have a use in the body. So the body is clearing them. And also even the damaged proteins and also the worn out mitochondria. So when this happens, new fresh mitochondria will start coming in and they'll power you. All right. Okay. So at the 18 to 21 hours, there's a metabolic shift phase. Chemical signals activate stem cells. Look at that. First, you have HGH, human growth factors. Okay. And then you have growth hormones. And then you have stem cells now. The body is signaling stem cells. And the growth hormone stays elevated. Inflammation, whatever inflammation you have, starts dropping. Now, what is inflammation? In other words, those are your diseases. The diseases are places where it is inflamed. So now with this situation, the inflammation drops, starts reducing, and then muscle preservation improves. So everything inside is being cleaned out. It's like you're cleaning your house. All right. So, and then at the 21 to 24 hours, what's happening? Reset and repair phase. Anti-aging benefits begin. Autophagy deepens. It's clearing out more cells which are unwanted. Stem cells begin to circulate. They start going around and they're looking at areas where they need to repair and rejuvenate and regenerate, and then the body is now coming back to what it should be. So they reproduce and rejuvenate the damaged cells. All right. So at the end of the 24 hours phase, your body has gone through a process where it has cleaned itself, it's allowed it to grow, repair, rejuvenate, and regenerate. So that's where you are at the end of 24 hours. So for those of you who seriously would like to see a change in your health, first use the Ion Shield pendant. They're bringing you in the negative ions. At the same time, go for a 24-hour fast. Of course, you can drink water if you want. And for those who have diabetes, you have to be careful because the ketosis can be dangerous for you because there's a condition on ketoacidosis where the acid builds up and it's not good for you. All right, so you have to be careful if to start slow. Otherwise, you are good. Okay, so thank you very much.